Coming up on City Spotlight, we are talking education in Arcola with the Superintendent of Arcola Schools, Dr. Tom Mulligan. We will discuss how the digital learning platform is aiding students, the latest activities and projects going on in the Arcola schools. We will also talk about the championship run of the Arcola Purple Riders football team. That's all next on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And welcome to this latest edition of City Spotlight. Today we're talking about education in Arcola. And joining me today is Dr. Tom Mulligan, the Superintendent of Arcola Schools. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Appreciate it. And your first time on City Spotlight. We've had Arcola on a few times with Mayor Ferguson and Bill Wagner, City Administrator.
Yeah.
And look forward to hearing your comments about what's going on in Arcola Schools.
Great.
If you could tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into Arcola Schools.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been in public education for over 25 years. Started out as a math teacher back in the early days, and I've been an administrator for over 20 years. My second year at Arcola, and I know the mayor and the city administrator, we work so closely together, and so I just really enjoy being in Arcola.
And you're about to start or starting year 2 or year 3, so you've been here 2 years.
2 years.
From your previous job to now in Arcola, why did you move over here to Arcola to take this job?
Well, I had actually two of my children from my first marriage were going to school in Sullivan. And I was working over in the Springfield area. I'd been there for quite a while, and my kids were getting older and they were involved in a lot of things. And looked at in the area, and the Arcola job was open, and I was able to interview, and it's been just a dream place for me and my family.
Excellent. Well, Arcola is probably very glad to have you too as well.
I hope so.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Arcola schools, and I think the natural place to start is, can you tell us about the school buildings you have?
Yeah, sure.
And any recent updates you've had to the physical layout.
Right. One of the unique things about Arcola that I think is just an incredible advantage for us is that we are all in one complex. We've got pre-K through 12 in one location. Now, obviously, we've got different sections of the building, but it is such a unique environment to have that. And you could really see it recently with when obviously I know later in the program we're going to talk a little bit about our football program, but over the last 2 months, every Friday morning we've had our football team and our cheerleaders getting all the little elementary kids out of their cars in the morning, walking them to class, getting to interact with the parents. It's just that it creates that culture of such a safe and nurturing environment, and it's one of the things that I think is really neat about the district. But the other thing is we have this amazing 1% sales tax in Douglas County, which over the last couple of years has really brought in a lot of money for facilities for us. We've been doing a lot of roof work, tile work, heating and air conditioning work, all kinds of things that we couldn't do in the past. So we're very excited about that, and it's really improving the climate in the buildings and the facilities for our students.
And that sense of closeness, all being in one building, we'll talk a little bit about that, being in a small town, the advantage of that, some more a little bit later on.
Definitely.
Tom, I'm curious, on a recent episode of City Spotlight, we had the folks from Arthur on to talk about their school district, and they're a little bit different. They've had to absorb other school districts into their own. Arcola, through the years, and I know you've only been on the job just a couple of years, but your familiarity with how Arcola has gone through the years and through the tough times, and how has Arcola dealt with maybe some of the challenges with the Illinois state budget?
Right. I think they've done an awesome job of being fiscally responsible, for one. I can tell you that we're in, even with all of the uncertainty with the budget and the cuts in funding, we're in extremely good financial shape. We're very, very healthy. We have very healthy fund balances. And I think they've been really good at streamlining expenses to really spend money on what's important and on the educational programs and the vision of the district. And they've just been really proactive at looking for alternative funding sources. And I think, the other piece is support from the community. We're going to talk, I know, about our one-to-one digital learning initiative in a little bit. The community raised $750,000 for us to be able to do that. So it's fiscal responsibility, but it's also the partnership with the community that's allowed Arcola to stay strong, I think, financially.
It's a total team effort.
It really is. It's a total team effort.
Okay, excellent. I've asked other educators from different towns in recent episodes. Do you have a referendum coming up, or one that has been passed recently that you could maybe talk about?
Not really. Our last referendum was several years when we built the addition to the high school, and we just refinanced that. About a year ago, we were able to save almost $500,000 to the taxpayers by doing some refunding. I think that also shows the back and forth partnership as a school. I think we try to also be responsible to give back to the taxpayers. It's that give and take, which I think is really important. We really don't have any big referendums on the table.
Okay, very good. You recently mentioned that we're going to talk about the digital platform, and I'm originally from Charleston, but I did live in Tuscola, and some of the members in our church in Tuscola, they were from Arcola Schools.
Right.
And they were some youth, and they told me about the new tablets they were using.
Right.
And so if you could maybe elaborate on the digital platform
Right.
that was instituted in 2014.
Yeah, it was a little over a year ago. We actually implemented in October of 2014. And it is really a shift in approach to how we teach students and how we engage students in learning activities. And technology is just a tool. So our focus has not been on the technology itself, although the technology it allows for students and teachers to do so much more. So just to talk a little bit about that is each student has their own iPad case and so forth. Every teacher has their own MacBook. We were able to put in every classroom a new Apple TV, a new compatible projector, so we've really got smart classrooms. And putting this type of technology in our classroom was one piece of the puzzle. But the biggest piece is, how do we change instruction to engage our kids in critical thinking and real-life, authentic learning experiences, and how do we use that technology to really engage kids in the classroom? And that's been our really big push of our platform.
And what's the response been of students and staff?
It's been phenomenal. One of the things that when we approach this, when you work with staff, you have staff at all different levels. You have staff from different generations, and some of them are a lot more adept at technology than others. But our mantra was, we love you where you're at. And we said we will take each and every one of you, and we'll train you at your pace with what you need to know and help you embed it in your curriculum. So I think that approach really helped staff take a deep breath and really engage in the training and things we've done. It's interesting you ask. I just interviewed several of our seniors for they've got a co-op class, and they're practicing interviewing and when they're going for jobs and so forth. And I asked all of them in this interview, I said, so how, in a year now, how have your classrooms changed? I mean, that's the real proof, right, is what the students tell you. And they all said it's changed how they communicate with their teachers. They can share their assignments online. A teacher can edit. They said it's changed how they work as partners with other kids in class, because they can share assignments and they can work on projects from home. And they said their learning activities over the last several months have really started to shift to where it's a lot more high level of learning rather than basic, memory, which today, I mean, if we ask a kid what date, in history, they can pull that up in a second on their device. They don't need to spend hours and hours memorizing that anymore. That's not what the workplace is, and we're about preparing our kids for that. So
a new tool, and it's
been awesome.
Sounds like it's working.
Been awesome.
Good start. Any other new programs or activities that have been going on or will be going on here that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we started a little over a year ago was really shifting our approach in our classrooms for our literacy instruction. And there's a lot of really good research now on neuroscience, which is basically how the brain actually learns. 10, 15 years ago, we didn't know these things, but now with what they call functional MRIs, and over the last 10 years, they know how to most effectively teach kids from a physiological way to where kids can learn. So we've really begun to shift our approach to teaching literacy, reading, and actually math to align with neuroscience and how we know empirically how kids best learn. And I think that's driving everything we're doing with our changes, and it really aligns very closely with implementing the Common Core standards.
Excellent. If you had to name a few strengths of the Arcola School District, what would you say those are?
Okay, this is a great question, because I'm not kidding you. I mean, I am so passionate about this school district and this community, because I just feel so blessed to be there. But one of the things that we talk about is innovation while embracing tradition. And I think we are extremely innovative in our school system in what we're implementing to provide the best educational environment for our kids, from programs, from extracurricular, in the classroom, supporting them with tools and this innovation. But at the same time, it's respecting this incredible tradition from this community. And, we've seen it recently in this, this amazing football run we had, where when we celebrated this amazing run, we didn't just celebrate the run, we brought back the tradition and the people from the history, and we embraced and supported and celebrated them as well. So it's this innovation with tradition. I think the other thing is, no question, is the small environment. We have just this culture of respect that is just very unique. I felt it from the first time I walked into the building, and I've been able to employ numerous people since I've been there, and they all say, just the feeling when you walk into the building, the way you're greeted by kids, the way you're greeted by staff, it's not that way everywhere. So it's this culture of, it's respect. And I think the other thing, that part of what helps build that is we do have a very diverse student body, a very diverse community. We've got a large Hispanic population. We've got, some students who come from Amish families. And it's just this diversity, I think, is just a real benefit for our kids.
Some recent news, Tom, I wanted to ask you about that came about with No Child Left Behind, and your thoughts on that, and how does it affect Arcola in any way?
Yeah, I think, I don't think it's a drastic impact right now. I mean, I think we've been shifting this direction for a few years now. No Child Left Behind had some real flaws in it, no question, but I think there are also some really good things that came out of it. I think focusing schools on looking at every individual student we have and differentiating for those students, I think was a really powerful thing that came out of that. And so I think it's been a good transition to the new Common Core standards. and the new growth model that they're looking at for accountability, where you're looking at each individual school and looking at growth, because every school is different. You've got, I talked about one of the things in our community, we've got a large Hispanic population. And when you look at standardized testing, traditionally your students from minorities, they don't do as well on the traditional standardized assessment. So it's really, one of the flaws of No Child Left Behind is it basically put, it made people evaluate schools based on one test, which is a real problem. And I think the new growth model looks at growth, it looks at growth of individual kids, it looks at these amazing cultural things you have going on in your district. It's a lot better way of sharing your story about your school.
All right, excellent. Thank you for your
Sure.
insight into that.
Yeah.
To what we've alluded to a few times earlier in the episode, Arcola has also been in the news recently with the football team. The Purple
Yes.
Riders brought home a state title. I fortunately was able to see those 5 playoff games. I helped call the games on the radio, and what an amazing experience for the players, the coaches, the staff, everybody in Arcola. What was that experience like for all of Arcola? You guys have to still be on a high.
Yeah, it was just amazing. And I said earlier, I've been an administrator for over 20 years. And it was the first medal I was able to put around my neck on that podium. And just watching not only the victories, but watching the community come together, watching, like I talked about earlier, the high school kids interacting and modeling for our young kids, and just watching that whole experience it's what education's all about. I mean, it was much more than just football. Mm-hmm. It was about bringing people together, and it was about sharing success, and it's about one of the things they talk about is there's been so much colleges and universities use the ACT to predict success in college. Mm-hmm. But if you look at, in some of the most recent research, what's even more powerful is that you can have a group, as kids, you can take something from start to finish and have this incredible success. That's more of a better predictor if you're going to be successful in college and life than, how you succeed maybe on one test. So that experience was incredible, and it was, like I said, it was much bigger than football.
Exactly. I noticed the great community support, not only at the home games, but the couple of away games they had. People's RVs, and
it was
felt
awesome.
like the whole town of Arcola was there all the way to the championship game.
It was.
That has to say a lot about Arcola.
It does. It does. And when we had the community celebration on Saturday night, and they called down, members of the previous teams, and we had tons of people there, that were from those teams that don't live in town necessarily anymore, but they still came to celebrate in that tradition and that victory. It was really awesome.
A great tradition, and it continues for Arcola.
Yeah.
Arcola is a small town, as we all know,
Mm-hmm.
Tom. And what are the pluses of you've probably talked about this, what are the pluses of a town being that small? And you mentioned right off the top, everybody that goes to school in Arcola is in one building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think in a school like Arcola, I think one of the drawbacks of a small school used to be that kids couldn't get the same opportunities that they could in big schools. But technology's really changed that. It's completely changed that. It's just opened the doors for our kids to take any course they want. So the positives are the closeness of the community, the ability for our young kids to be modeled and watch our older kids succeed, and our kids can be involved in so many things, and they are, and they're not just a face in the hallway, they're a name, and they get really good attention. We've got extremely small class sizes that allows us to really meet the needs of each individual kid that we have. And it's just a great experience for for kids. My two kids that are there love it.
Excellent. We're taping this here in the middle of December, so people are seeing this at the start of the new year. You brought with you a end of the year report booklet for 2015. Is there anything that you'd like to highlight from what's in that and how people can use that information?
So what I was able to do last year is I really, in this document, our end of the year report, we've decided to, I started this last year, we're really highlighting the incredible successes that our kids are having, from, you know, our band winning 3 marching band competitions to the kids that are winning spelling bees and the kids that are National Honor Society. I mean, all these amazing things are highlighted in here, the growth, the student performance, and we're going to be publishing one of these every year as we go, so that's really, really exciting. One of the things we're going to do in the spring that's coming up is we're working on really setting and establishing a vision for the Arcola School District, what we want our district to look like in 5 to 7 years. We've kind of been moving in that direction with our digital learning platform and all those kinds of things, but you know, it's really important to set a clear vision that everybody can rally behind, so that's one of the things that will really be highlighted in this when it comes out next summer for this year's accomplishments. So this has really become a neat document where we can really highlight what's going on in our school district.
Sounds like a great tool with great information.
Yeah,
excellent. Got a couple questions for you left here, Tom, as we wrap up this episode. As we talked before the taping here, the schools are at the heart of every community, and your thoughts on Arcola being a great place for kids to grow up and attend schools.
Yeah, you know, like I said, since I've been there, I've just been so happy that I brought my own 2 children there. They just feel like they've only been there 2 years. They feel like it's home. They've been embraced by the community. They've been embraced by the school. The outreach, the partnerships with the community. You know, it's just such a great place for people to raise kids. It's, you know, our kids take it's called a 5 Essential Survey. All schools in the state of Illinois have to take it every other year. And our student results about how students respect each other and what a safe place it is, and how they feel challenged and how they feel that there's adults who care about them. I mean, you know, those are the types of things that people need to look at, you know, when you're deciding where you want to raise your family. And Arcola is just an amazing place.
And looking ahead, it's a new year, 2016, and what's something you're looking forward to, whether it be in Arcola or with the schools?
Yeah, I just think moving forward with establishing our vision, continuing to embed the changes that we're doing, continuing to be innovative. One of the things that we started with our digital learning this year is we actually partnered with a university, and we're offering our own graduate credit classes for our teachers on how to implement that technology. And we just continue to work more and more as a team in Arcola, and I think that's what I look forward to the most.
It's been a pretty good year for Arcola Schools.
It's been awesome so far.
Thank you for the time and the great information. Dr. Tom Mulligan, the Superintendent of Arcola Schools. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. To all of you, we'd like to thank you for watching this latest episode of City Spotlight. And as we wrap up this episode, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Arcola. City Spotlight is on YouTube. Past episodes can be viewed on East Central Illinois towns that have been featured on City Spotlight. Just search on YouTube City Spotlight with the show number and the name of the town. Listed on your screen are the recent episodes of City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.